my videos all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My substance, alcohol; my behaviour, erratic, trying to be perfect, do what you wanted, and never actually measuring up to my own standards, and probably never measuring up to anybody's standards. Who knows? I don't know these days. But what I do know is that I'm in recovery. I'm trying to make one day at a time work for me and for those around me who I love. So life has changed from being a 24/7 drinker in my last years of drinking, with a 35-year drinking history. And I don't know when I crossed over that imagined border between, I suppose, heavy drinker and dependent drinker. And it's a conundrum for the person who's going through it, because we don't see it, and it's a conundrum for anybody around, and it drives people around us quite mad with the impossibility of trying to help a person who cannot help themselves. So life is difficult sometimes, and at the moment, a few years into recovery, with some extra bits to deal with on top, like type 1 diabetes and clinical depression. The gift, if you like, of living longer is that we are susceptible to anything and everything that life has to offer, including other ailments, and I'm going through a very difficult time at the moment with a regime change in my medication connected with type 1 diabetes and clinical depression. What makes it possible is for me to be in fellowship in the fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, a fellowship of men and women. I'll just read the preamble so you have an idea of what it is all about. I don't speak for AA ever, I speak for myself. And the preamble it shared at each meeting goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. All my videos. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety, and that's simply what it is, a day at a time, learning how to live to the best we can, and to the good of good conscience, and to be a part of society and civilization and the world, rather than an isolated mad person who cannot stop drinking. And I had some very, very strong comments yesterday on one or two of my videos from somebody very, very angry at people who fall into alcoholism, and suggested that we should be gassed. And I didn't put the comment up because it would make hurt for the person who put it there, and there's no point in saying anything to a person who feels that strongly, simply because they have a point of view based on their experience with people who drink too much. So my heart goes out to them, and it's not easy. A bit more about whether we're able to blame ourselves or to blame others in a moment, but I'm covering all the steps of AA, one a month, 12 steps of action for the individual, and there are 12 traditions which hold the fellowship together. And the 12-step program is sort of illustrated in this book here, Daily Reflections, where each month covers a step. And step 2, February, came to believe that a power greater than us could say, restore us to sanity. And the synopsis of this step, which is in the 12 by 12 steps and 12 traditions, the synopsis reads like this. Came to believe that power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. What can we believe in? AA does not demand belief. 12 steps are only suggestions. Importance of an open mind. Varieties of ways to faith. Substitution of AA as a higher power. Plight of the disillusioned. Roadblocks of indifference and prejudice. Lost faith found in AA. Problems of intellectuality and self-sufficiency. Negative and positive thinking. Self-righteousness. Defiance is an outstanding characteristic of alcoholics. Step 2 is a rallying point to sanity, right relation to God, or the God of your understanding, or your good conscience, or nature in the universe. And one of the final paragraphs in step 2 is quite important to me, and it reads like this. Few indeed are the practicing alcoholics who have any idea how irrational they are, or seeing their irrationality can bear to face it. Some will be willing to term themselves problem drinkers, but cannot endure the suggestion that they are in fact mentally ill. They are abetted in this blindness by a world which does not understand the difference between sane drinking and alcoholism. Sanity is defined as soundness of mind, yet no alcoholic, soberly analysing his destructive behaviour, whether the destruction fell on the dining room furniture or his own moral fibre, can claim soundness of mind for himself. And then goes on to say, therefore, step 2 is the rallying point for all of us. Whether agnostic, atheist or former believer, we can stand together on this step. True humility and an open mind can lead us to faith, and every AA meeting is an assurance that God will restore us to sanity if we rightly relate ourselves to Him, or to the truth of living and now. And there it says, they are abetted in this blindness by a world which does not understand the difference between sane drinking and alcoholism. So, when somebody puts a harsh comment like 1 in 13 of the population of the UK who are drink dependent may be better off gassed, one can hardly be surprised by their attitude when they have experienced the downside of being involved with anybody who has got this addiction. So I'm not harsh, but I didn't leave the comment up because there's no point in creating hatred either way towards people who are trying to get out of the malady and be in recovery, or those who are stricken with the consequences of awfulness, being around people who've drunk too much and cannot stop. So there's no right and wrong for me, and that's important. Daily reflections. I've got to be careful with the time today. How am I feeling today? I feel rubbish, and my whole being is exhausted, and that's to do with these changes in medication. So forgive me if I sound a bit flat, but actually it's February the 18th, I've just realised, not February the 19th. Yeah, apologies for the wrong date at the beginning. Our paths are our own. There was nothing left for us to pick up. There was nothing left for us but to pick up these simple kit of spiritual tools laid at our feet. That comes from AA's Big Book, page 25. My first attempt at the steps was one of obligation and necessity, which resulted in a deep feeling of discouragement in the face of all those adverbs. Courageously, completely, humbly, directly, and only. I considered Bill W. fortunate to have gone through such a major, even sensational spiritual experience. I had to discover as time went on that my path was my own. After a few 24 hours in the AA fellowship, thanks especially to the sharing of members in the meetings, I understood that everyone gradually finds his or her own pace in moving through the 12 steps. Through progressive means, I try to live according to these suggested principles. As a result of these steps, I can say today that my attitude towards life, people, and towards anything having to do with God has been transformed and improved. And for that latter person mentioned there, God, it's a personal journey of understanding. And for me, God is truth, God is love. And the transformation is remarkable. And as Bill sees it mentioned in the daily reflections there, Bill Wilson, co-founder, in his daily writings, if you like, one a day, moral responsibility. Some strongly object to the AA position that alcoholism is an illness. This concept, they feel, removes moral responsibility from alcoholics. As any AA knows, this is far from true. We do not use the concept of sickness to absolve our members from responsibility. On the contrary, we use the fact of fatal illness to clamp the heaviest kind of moral obligation onto the sufferer, the obligation to use the AA 12 steps to get well. In the early days of his drinking, the alcoholic is often guilty of irresponsibility, but once the time of compulsive drinking has arrived, he can't very well be held fully accountable for his conduct. He then has an obsession that condemns him to drink, and a bodily sensitivity to alcohol that guarantees his final madness and death. So maybe we don't need to be gassed, we just die early, if we keep on going. But when he is made aware of his condition, he is under pressure to accept the program of moral regeneration. And with any luck, we all get a chance to do that. We all need second chances, and we all need forgiveness, not only people with addiction.